Are you constantly struggling with money, knowing that it's never going to be enough? It might be because of the poor money habits that you focused on and built over time. But don't worry, in this video, we're going to help you break that cycle and get you back to the debt-free journey that you're supposed to live. We're going to go ahead and break down some money habits that keep you poor, trying to really identify the ones that we do have and trying to break them, and the realization and the accountability piece to getting this done. Starting with our first one, charging ordinary expenses on credit cards. This is the ultimate way to live above your means. If you're supplementing your income, it means that you're not budgeting properly and you're putting monthly expenses on credit cards. When we look at the amount of money that you bring home in relationship to how much you're spending, if you're running in the red for a very short term, you might be able to do this, but overall it is not going to be sustainable over the long term. Now, accumulated credit card debt is the third leading cause of bankruptcy, right behind job loss and medical costs for bankruptcy, meaning that you could be headed down a very bad, poor money habit road with ending in a bankruptcy. Second one we look at is charging more than 25% of your net income. Second one we look at is spending more than 25% of your net income on housing. Now, the second poor habit we look at is spending over 25% of your income on your housing expenses. When we talk about housing expenses, we are talking rent or mortgages, but when you add in real estate taxes, utilities, insurance, repairs, maintenance, this cannot exceed 25% of your income. For a majority of individuals that we're seeing nowadays, it is running 30 to 35%, which is crazy when it comes to the amount of money you earn in relationship to where your money is going. Next one we look at is spending more than 50% of your income on food. With the rising cost of groceries and the grocery bills, it can be time to prep some food at home. And again, when you're breaking up your paycheck mathematically, if big part of your entertainment budget or big part of your budget is allocated to food, it might be time to reevaluate exactly where you're spending money, see where you can cut back and get things a little bit more affordable, because that is really the break-even point. Spending 10% of your income on entertainment or gifts. Now, this category does include bars, restaurants, movies, music, lounges, books, gifts, eating out, prepared food. That is not part of the planned budget, can fall in the entertainment budget. And this is where some people can kind of go back and forth. But if you're spending more than 10% of your net income on your entertainment expenses, it can be very detrimental for the budget with the poor money habits. Continuing down this list, spending more than 5% of your net income on car expenses. This means your lease, your loan, your insurance, gas, toll, taxes, maintenance, repair, everything said and done should not exceed 5% of your net income. Spending more than 5% of your net income on vacations. Also, a caveat with that is when you look at your vacations, is not borrowing to go on vacation. Majority of individuals I see where if they're taking a cruise, they're going on vacation, they're going to Florida, going to see families, they will be in to borrow money. That is because, again, you're not budgeting properly with poor money habits and you're borrowing money to go on vacation. Spending money on gambling is another huge one. That is huge. If you're going to gamble, you need to set a budget. It has to come out of that entertainment expense, which we know is 10% of the budget. Mathematically, you have to break this down and you have to take accountability for where you're spending your money. Going over the top for gifts, this is another one, comes out of the entertainment budget. Sticking to the 10% and making sure that is a hard stop number is going to keep you from going overboard on the gift giving. Now, when it comes to the holidays, what we'll traditionally see is a lot of people will spend a lot of money over the holidays. They will spend January, February, March trying to make up and trying to cover those bills. Then they get their income tax back, pay off a little bit of those bills, but they're never fully paid off, meaning that they're carrying debt and they are carrying balances for an incredible amount of time. Now, also with your budget, never spend more than 5% of that on clothing. That is right. When you look at rich habits of individuals, it is really thrift shopping or buying things when they're on sale, buying them on discount. You need to make sure in an annual basis that you're not spending over 5% of your annual income on your clothing. There can be things that are incredibly cheap that you can get for just pennies on the dollar, depending exactly how you're doing this. Then we get into spontaneous spending. Again, never a good idea at all. It is estimated that Americans spend roughly $2,500 on spontaneous spending, or really the impulse buying that we see. This is giving away your hard-earned money to something that you really don't need to. Next really bad money habit that we find is no savings at all. It is systematically, strategically impossible to save money if you have poor spending habits, because what's going to happen if you do start building up some of that emergency fund, you're going to go ahead and spend it on something else. You have to build up that emergency fund to really break the cycle and stop the reliance on credit card debt, is what we see when you're looking at those money habits. Now, the uneducated or taking undue risk. This is very, very important and something you need to know. When the rich invest, they do their homework, they do their research, they spend their time, they ask the questions, they look for feedback, they get a well-defined strategy in place before they do anything when it comes to taking risk, and also when it comes to investing. You have to do your research. You have to make sure exactly what you're getting into. A lot of people threw a ton of money into cryptocurrency, which is a great example, lost a ton of money in cryptocurrency. That very small, probably less than 1% that was successful in doing it could have and did make some money, but overall majority of people did lose money. Next one we look at, which is a money habit, is spending money on junk food. This is another one which is kind of crazy. So there were research conducted by the USDA that found that eating healthy is less expensive than junk food or even fast food, which is kind of crazy to think. So not only can you get the food cheaper, but you can also get it as a much healthier option. More expensive than healthier food and far less nutrition. Worse, eating junk food more than 300 junk food calories a day can also lead to heart disease, diabetes, neurological disorders, and cancer from eating junk food in excess. And it's very expensive. If you've been to the store recently, chocolate, candy bars, things like that are very expensive when it comes to purchasing them. Wanting to spend will always put you in the poorhouse. Wanting to spend will really focus on the wants versus the needs, surrendering themselves to instant gratification and not having savings. When you look at buying anything, if it is anything over, and you can set your limit, let's say $200, once you determine what you're going to buy, make a list of what the value is, what the benefit is going to be. Can you get it anywhere cheaper? Wait at least 3 days. If you can wait that 3 days and still justify the purchase, go ahead, you can buy that purchase. And the last one we look at is frugal spending versus cheap spending, which we do cover a lot on this channel. Being frugal is very different than being cheap. Through all of my research and time and effort with this, it is a really different way to view money, and I love how it is seen. Being cheap is a poor habit because quite often it doesn't have any quality to it. So when you look at frugal spending, you're willing to put out more money to buy something that is of greater value and will hold value a much longer time. So what we mean by that is you could go into a dollar store and buy 50 items that are cheap, spending $50, or you could buy one item that is $50 and have it for decades, where a lot of, again, the cheaper products or the dollar store stuff will break, it'll deteriorate. You will see it go in the garbage much faster than actually buying the frugal spending and really spending the money to buy the quality versus the quantity that we're getting out of here. Now, frugal spenders, of course, again, focusing on the quality, focusing on the services, but at a bargain price. It's not overpaying for everything because the value is there. Still looking, delaying your purchases until you know it is what you want, and making sure that it is not going to break the bank when it comes to putting money into what you're looking for. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.